International workshop on the role of renewable energy in rural development underway in the Dominican Republic. Idona John Baptist is there and will have a report. Prime Minister Skerrit heads a delegation to Morocco for major climate change conference and a call for the youth to get involved in more productive activities ahead of World Children's Day on Friday. I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. The details after this.
What's up, y'all? This your boy Wyclef Jean. Y'all watching Moppin'. Let's get it, baby.
Topping the news, key players in the energy sector are meeting in the Dominican Republic to chart the way forward for off-the-grid electricity initiatives in rural communities. Channel 5 News reporter Idona John Baptist is in the Dominican Republic and files this report.
The business of developing sustainable energy sources in Latin America and the Caribbean is the focus of a 4-day workshop at the Bavaro Palace Hotel in Punta Cana. The United Kingdom-based Smart Villages has organized the activity, seeking options for enhancing electricity access for rural development. The idea is to make this happen by encouraging off-grid communities. John Holmes of the Smart Villages project told Channel 5 News, off-the-grid electricity systems mean the generation of one's own electricity without being connected to the traditional power supply.
Most of the people who don't have access to electricity at the moment are based in the countryside. So our project is focusing on those people, on the rural communities, and thinking about local energy solutions. Typically, it's better to have power generation locally rather than to wait for the national grid to arrive. That can take many years. A local energy solution, we can do it now. We can get the benefits of that now, not to have to wait for years. Maybe it will never arrive.
Electricity access is an integral part of the United Nations Development Goal 7, which is seeking access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all. The forum learned that 8 million people in the Caribbean still do not have access to electricity. Holmes agrees that to achieve the UN goal, cheaper options for rural electrification have to be explored.
So a local electricity supply could be from a solar panel, it could be from a small hydroelectric scheme, it might be from a wind turbine. There are different ways of generating that electricity. The point is you can do it at a village level scale. These days you can do it economically. You can generate electricity at prices that the villagers themselves will be able to pay.
Scientists, entrepreneurs, non-governmental organizations, villagers, financiers and regulators will share ideas on how to make that happen. Idona John Baptist reporting from Dominican Republic for Channel 5 News.
Other lead stories now. Dominica's Prime Minister, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, is leading a delegation to the world's highest level conference on climate change in Morocco.
The Conference of Parties COP22 meeting, organized by the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, is taking place in Marrakesh, Morocco this week. According to a press release from the Office of the Prime Minister, the country's Minister for Health and the Environment, Dr. Kenneth Daru, along with Ambassador to the United States and the Organization of American States, Dr. Vince Henderson, and Ambassador to Japan, Lloyd Pascal, are also joining the Prime Minister on this trip. The last such meeting, COP21, was held in Paris, France last year, from which came the historic signing in New York in April this year, where over 195 nations signed on to the Paris Agreement. The press release further stated that according to the United Nations, there are 3 other responsibilities for the 195 countries which have ratified the convention, namely, to gather and share information on greenhouse gas emissions, national policies and optimal practices, to implement national strategies for addressing the issue on greenhouse gas emissions and adapting to foreseen impacts of climate change, as well as determining the provision of financial and technical support to developing countries, and to cooperate to be prepared and adapt to climate change effects. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
In other news now, consumers of LPG are being cautioned to adhere to international standards for their own safety. The word of caution comes from Group Engineer Manager for Sol Caribbean, who says currently households are in a very dangerous position with the placement of their LPG cylinders in relation to ignition sources.
According to the code, the same NFPA 58, you're not supposed to store any more than 2.7 pounds of LPG inside a residential building, and we store 20 pounds. In fact, in some areas, some people even put the 100-pound cylinders indoors. Yes, the case of that. But the reason why it is so dangerous to do that is because if anything happens to the cylinder, like for example, if there's an overpressuring of the cylinder, it will vent. And because there's so many ignition sources close by, you can get an explosion. Now, according to the code, the cylinder is supposed to be a minimum of 5 feet away from any ignition source.
Jackson says further steps need to be taken through regulatory bodies to ensure that Caribbean households are more compliant when it comes to following international regulations.
What is very good is that many countries, and in fact I think even Dominica as well, are now putting together these standards, to make sure, to ensure that these things are met, that these rules are adhered to. What would have to happen is that there would then have to be inspectors inspecting these installations at different homes. So, and then of course, when you purchase a cylinder, you would probably have to sign something saying, that you are going to install it according to code. But the inspectors will be the ones that would then enforce it and cut you off if you do not adhere to these standards, because it's really very dangerous.
While acknowledging that things may be slow in coming around, Jackson says wider public sensitization will help make people aware of the dangers of improper storage of gas cylinders.
In fact, I find that during my presentations, I can tell that people they're trying their best to get it out of the. After they've learned that is not the way to go, they are doing everything that they can do to put it in a place or to store it in a location that is advisable, that's recommended. For example, it should be 5 feet away from your stove, 5 feet away from any switch or outlet, 5 feet away from the fridge, any appliance. So you could just imagine, is it very difficult for that, for anybody to get that safety distance in the kitchen, So they really should be kept on the outside in the cage, of course, to protect it from theft or whatever, and not be kept on the inside.
And as Early Childhood Month continues, Chief Education Officer says the development of the early childhood sector is a key ingredient in the movement towards achieving quality, equity, and equality among people of the nation. Speaking at an early childhood symposium here for Early Childhood Month, Milena Fontaine said a society that is desirous of continuous growth and eradicating poverty must invest in the foundation years of its people.
The United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution on September 25, 2015, on the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and had this to say, and I quote, "We commit to providing inclusive and equitable quality education at all levels, early childhood, primary, secondary, tertiary, technical, and vocational training. All people, irrespective of sex, age, race, or ethnicity, and persons with disabilities, migrants, indigenous peoples, children, and youth, especially those in vulnerable situations."
She said the Ministry of Education had already recognized the importance of developing the early childhood sector, and steps have been taken to ensure it continues.
We amended the Education Act to cater to the full age range of the early childhood sector from 0 to 8 years. We developed regulations to govern the operations of all early childhood facilities. We established a council to provide guidance as we continue on the development path, and in 2012, government declared universal access to early childhood education. Today's world is full of challenges, and you will therefore understand that we do have much more work to undertake. But take note that there are also immense opportunities, and we will therefore continue to embrace those opportunities as we strive ahead.
Fontaine applauded all early childhood practitioners and parents who continue to work tirelessly to provide the best environment for all children. You're watching Channel 5 News. Coming up, imagine a national all-boys choir festival. More on that, as well as sports highlights, flashback and weather still ahead.
Yo, this is Kes from Trinidad. Yo, blessing up Martin. You don't know. Keep it locked, keep it locked, keep it locked for everything entertainment. Boom.
Thank you for staying with us. The first ever Kalinago Emergency Fund will be established by this month end. Here is Andrea Louis with more.
A series of fundraising activities was held during Kalinago Week in September to generate money for the fund. Cultural Officer in the Ministry of Kalinago Affairs says November month end will see the establishment of the Kalinago Fund with an initial deposit of $5,000.
We have not lost focus on that. We have not launched the fund, but by the end of November, we should be able to put a group together that will supervise or be the ones to look after this fund when it's available. I can say now that we have agreed that we will set up the fund with $5,000. Then we'll be asking the public to contribute towards this fund, because it is a fund that will benefit the Kalinago community, and we want people to participate in it, be part of it, not only waiting to get, but also willing to give.
The cultural officer highlighted that one of the major obstacles in hosting a successful week of activities was the lack of interest by community leaders, which in turn affected the level of participation by the Kalinago people.
The main challenging would be, of course, the type of publicity motivation, because we in the Kalinago territory now are facing some type of gap between leadership and the population. It was sad to see that many of the sessions, you didn't see the leaders attending the session there. So this tells you that where our leadership is and where the population are heading to, the population needs guidance, and the leadership has to provide that kind of guidance.
Paris says a deeper focus on the Kalinago culture and greater awareness among the youth will be the key points of Kalinago Week 2017. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
Communications officer at the National Youth Council is advising the youth to become more involved in productive activities. Paul Barron is suggesting that greater involvement in church activities could help reduce the level of violence among our youth.
Because those institutions have survived more than we have. The family has been here for eons, the church has been here for eons, and you have the school education system. So once you get involved at those levels, it will direct you in the right direction. And really that is what has happened for me. That is what has happened for our leaders such as Jaiza, Benoit, Earthly Pair, and those of the other team members of NYC and other various groups. You have to get involved in your community.
Barron's comments were made in anticipation of Universal Children's Day on Sunday. It will be observed locally on Friday. An event has been planned for Charlotte Preschool based on this year's theme, Ending Violence Against Our Children.
Now, Universal Children's Day was established in 1954 by the United Nations. In 1959 of that same effort, there was the adoption of the Declaration on the Rights of the Child. And in 1989, on the same date being the 20th, there was the adoption of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. So it is significant that countries have ratified those international treaties, and I must say here that the Universal Children's Day is the most widely ratified document. What it means really for the benefit of children is that it enables the safeguarding and the living and friendly environment for children who are continuously and surprisingly come under various forms of abuse and violence. We just want to be able to grow our children in a safe environment.
Barron says he would like to see greater awareness, dialogue and action to end violence against children. He also sounded a call for collaboration among concerned stakeholders. And 2 new programs are on the cards for one local organization as it strives to adhere to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Andrea Louis explains.
Stress management for parents with special needs children is high on the agenda for the West Dominica Children's Federation as it seeks to ensure the mental health and well-being of families in Dominica. The Federation, which works for the safety and welfare of children, advocates that if parents in high-stress situations are able to manage stress properly, they can create better environments for their children.
We've done 2 or 3 of the outreach to special needs children and their parents. We were able to do 2 fun days for them, just a day where they would bring the children, the special needs children. Sometimes the children would not leave the house for months, and whilst in the activity the parents would be separated and they were given specific training in terms of coping, how their daily life, just how to cope. We also were able to do a separate stress management program for the parents, again on coping mechanisms and how to manage stress.
The Federation's coordinator says the institution would also like to assist more people who were traumatized by the passage of Tropical Storm Erica last year. In this regard, the Federation is seeking funding to develop projects which are in keeping with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
The Sustainable Development Goals number 3 and 4 focuses on mental health and well-being. We would like to get a program going or a project submitted with regards to trying to help in that area. There were some psychologists that came from Trinidad, but as to whether they were able to cater to the needs of all the people, I'm sure they would not, because the people were scattered. A lot of the children probably didn't even know how to express themselves, and if they still have that burden on them, nobody is helping them, we see that there's a gap there that we can probably help to close up.
The West Dominica Children's Federation was previously supported by Child Fund Caribbean. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
And the Cultural Division, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and Human Resource Development, is hosting the first ever All-Boys Choir Festival on Friday. During the past several months, all-boys choirs from various primary schools have been preparing for this unique festival. 16 schools have so far registered for the event. They're Atkinson, Benz, Castlebruce Goodwill, Caleb Laurent, Massac Kenfield, Roseau SDA, San Sauveur, St. Mary's, Seneco, St. John's, Temple SDA, Tetmore, Wesley, Woodford Hill, and the Will Strathmore Stevens Primary. The festival seeks to showcase the skills and talents of male youth and to develop a national all-boys choir. The choir festival, scheduled for the Arawak at 10 a.m., will be free. That's news. Your sports highlights next.
Starting off with football, action continued in the Sports Division Secondary Schools football competition. The St. Mary's Academy defeated the Dominica Grammar School in the Under-13 category 1-0, but took revenge against the Pierre Charles Secondary in the Under-17 match, defeating them by 12 goals to 0. Marcellus Bonney scored 5 and Jante Kazimi scored 4 for the DGS. In other matches, the Isaiah Thomas Secondary School defeated the Northeast Comprehensive School 4-0 in the Under-13 and then defeated the St. John's Academy by 6-0 in the Under-17. And Goodwill Secondary School defeated the Portsmouth Secondary School 3-0 in the Under-13 and played to a 1-1 draw in the Under-17. The Secondary Schools Football Championship continues with 6 matches on Thursday. In more football, 2 more Dominican officials have been elevated to the FIFA ranking for officials for 2016-2017. Assistant referee Clyde Cadet and referee Travis Del Sol both said they were very happy and they had been looking for the opportunity to be part of the list. Channel 5 Sports caught up with the officials in training.
I was introduced into refereeing by Mr. Jason Bernard. Thanks to him, I'm here. Since I came, I heard about being a FIFA official and all the perks and what there is to it, like getting links, traveling, meeting new people. And I think better give it a try. And over the years, it has not worked out, but then I was Sheehan Robin says, never give up on the dream. So I kept at it, and finally my hard work paid off. I continue training my physical training, the theoretical part of it, and doing the games. It means that I have an opportunity to represent Dominica.
Meantime, new FIFA referee Travis Del Sol says referees should take the profession more seriously.
In Dominica, well, around the Caribbean, referees are always like the outsiders in football, but being a referee with your colleagues, it's very fun, man. Well, I would encourage anyone to come and referee, but I know when you're young you like to play your football, but there's always a little chance for you to come and try the refereeing out, man. I like being around football, and after my playing days were over, I was introduced to being a referee by Mr. Neron Williams, and he pushed me with the help of Daniel Leslie. Well, it's worked out to just make my country proud, I guess. And I would really like to see Dominica at the top of refereeing in the Caribbean.
And you maybe off and on you'll be getting a couple of games on the outside and so on, and you expect maybe to make a debut very soon.
Yeah, that would be nice to at least get the outside experience, to at least bring the experience back in our country to see if we can help the other referees as well.
Clyde Cadet and Travis Del Sol join referee Romy Blah and assistant Sean McDonald to bring Dominica's total number of FIFA referees and assistants to 4. Channel 5 Sports congratulates Clyde Cadet and Travis Del Sol on their achievements. On to netball now. The Portsmouth Secondary School defeated the Pearchild Secondary School by 36 goals to 7 in the Sports Division Under 16 Secondary Schools netball competition. Top players for the PSS were Selena Langley scoring 35 goals from 41 attempts and Danita George scoring 2 from 5 attempts. For PCSS, Ranis Luke scored 3 from 6 attempts. In the Under 20 match, Dominica State College made light work of the Wesley High School, defeating them by 50 goals to 9. Scoring for DSC, Kyla Winston 35 goals from 56 tries and Kishma Harv 10 from 13. For Wesley High School, Kayla Bellett 5 from 13 and Regina Joseph 4 goals from 5 attempts. The competition continues on Thursday with St. John's Academy taking on Northeast Comprehensive School in Marigot in the Under 16 category. In more women's sports, West Indies women cricket team suffered their 3rd straight defeat in the 50-over competition for the qualifying stage of the ICC World Cup scheduled for next year. In the final match played last night, India batted first and scored 199 for 6 in 50 overs. Then West Indies reached 184 all out in 49.1 overs to lose the game by 15 runs. Kezia Knight top scored with 55 and H. Matthews scored 44. West Indies lost their last 5 wickets for 18 runs. And wrapping up with more cricket, West Indies defeated Sri Lanka by 62 runs to win their first match in the Tri-Nation Series tournament between the two teams and Zimbabwe. The Windies batting first scored 227 all out in 49.2 overs. Jonathan Carter 54, Shea Hope 47 and Romel Powell 44. Then Sri Lanka struggled and eventually bowled out for 165. Doing damage for West Indies were Shannon Gabriel picking up 3 wickets for 31 runs in 8.1 overs, Ashley Nurse taking 3 for 46 in 10 overs, and Jason Holder 2 for 16 in 8 overs. That's it for sports. Join us next time.
And welcome to another episode of Flashback. In this segment, we take you back 22 years ago to 1994, when the Dominica Freedom Party under Dame Eugenia Charles attempted to increase the levels of energy production in the country. Of course, Mappin being the only local television station at the time, we were able to capture the historical moment when the Taiwanese made a significant investment in a generator for Domlec to increase its capacity.
The Embassy of the Republic of China on Taiwan has long been involved with Domlec's efforts to improve and increase the electricity supply in Dominica.
Approximately 3 years ago, the government of Dominica approached my government to assist in its endeavor to explore Dominica's geothermal potential. Since then, we have been leaving no stone unturned in trying to find a viable way to share with you our experience in this area. Firstly, we assigned 2 geothermal experts to Dominica to study its geothermal feasibility.
Chargé d'Affaires Philip Wang says that the embassy has been looking at loan arrangements for Domlek following the feasibility study. But the country's extenuating circumstances led to the embassy going one step further.
We are pleased to conclude by mutual agreement that because of the lengthy time involved in geothermal exploration and the technical and other risky factors involved, and considering the immediate need for generating more electricity, the Republic of China has decided to ameliorate the existing condition by making an outright grant to the government of Dominica in the sum of $300,000 to assist Domlek in its endeavor to purchase a diesel generator.
Prime Minister Charles said that the country will continue to explore the geothermal avenue because she believes in the long term it will be best for Dominica.
Not many of our people are prepared to look to the future. They want everything to happen yesterday. But they have to learn that in the world it is necessary to look to the future and sometimes to make sacrifices in the present for the purpose of being able to enhance the conditions for the people in the future. And this is what we are doing now. And we may be misunderstood about it, but then of course government does not expect to be understood. It is always misunderstood. One has just to be sure that one's plans are correct for the benefit of the people of the country in spite of what other people may think.
Nonetheless, Prime Minister Charles expressed her thanks to Mr. Wang and outlined the importance of the generator.
But in the meantime, to prevent us not having all the supply that we require for the needs of the people, we have got to be able to put in this facility.
Certainly some perspective on the whole geothermal exploration issue and how challenging it was back then and still is. But as you know, the current administration is well on its way, legislatively and otherwise, to having Dominica produce more than enough renewable energy for local consumption and eventually for export. Join us next time for another flashback. Your weather forecast is next.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. I am your presenter, Annie Coretta Joseph. We start off by taking a look at earlier satellite imagery, and what it showed is this area of cloudiness associated with a trough system currently affecting the Lesser Antilles. Visible satellite imagery showed multi-layered clouds over Dominica throughout the course of the day, resulting in partly cloudy to cloudy skies. Radar imagery indicated some scattered showers over the Lesser Antilles. Conditions for tonight: mostly cloudy skies with scattered showers and possible thunderstorm activity. Tomorrow, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with some scattered showers. Some haze can also be expected. Sea conditions: moderate in open water with waves up to 7 feet. Taking a look at the extended forecast, a trough system will continue to affect the area, resulting in partly cloudy to cloudy skies with some scattered showers on Thursday, and fair to partly cloudy skies with some scattered showers on Friday and Saturday. Across the region tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with scattered showers can be expected with some possible thunderstorm activity over the central and southern portion. On the international scene, clear skies in New York, partly cloudy skies in Miami and Beijing, partly cloudy skies with some rain in London and some thunderstorm in Caracas. The sun will rise tomorrow at 6:09 a.m. and set at 5:32 p.m. For up-to-date information, log on to our website at weather.gov.dm or call the weather hotline at 447-5555. Thank you for viewing and join us next time. Good night.
To end the news, the headlines again. International workshop on the role of renewable energy in rural development underway in the Dominican Republic. Prime Minister Skerrit heads a delegation to Morocco for a major climate change conference, and a call for the youth to get involved in more productive activities ahead of World Children's Day on Friday. Feel free to contact us at news@mapping2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris, and to our viewers around the world, thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.